Humber Wave Radio 106.9.
Good timing tonight, Joe. You're live here on Humber Wave Radio and so Hull and Back podcast. He's got a smile on his face. Look, he likes it when he does good timing. Evening, everybody. I'm Eddie, right?
Evening, everyone. Right. It's Joe.
Hey, lads. It's Chris.
Here we go. We're all here and introductions out of the way. Good evening to everybody who's joined us. Tonight's is a special sort of podcast. I think it's just because we couldn't think of anything else to do, really, wasn't it?
Well, we've got a bit of the friendly talk.
Somebody's a masochist.
Yeah, somebody is a masochist. You're right, Paul, and it's been you've got the hardest job because you're the oldest. Apparently, Joe's got the easiest job because he's the youngest. That's what we're saying tonight on the little things underneath. So it was a hard job for you. I'll let you tell everybody what we're doing, Joe, because you're the one who sort of instigated this.
Okay, so evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I can't get my words out. Let's try this again. Evening, guys. Thank you for tuning in. A couple of weeks ago, when myself, Nathaniel, and Will were reviewing the Cardiff game on our main Sunday show, we were debating sort of best players and memories and stuff. And collectively, we sort of said we should probably do an episode where we talk about like the best Hull City players that there has ever been. So we've adopted that into this episode tonight, and we have each gone through our times, our years watching and supporting this wonderful football club that we love so much, yet also frustrates us so much simultaneously. And we have each composed an 11 of the best players to pull on a black and amber shirt over our respective years watching the club.
Yeah, it's a good description. I like it. And it was, to be fair, I'm 20 years younger than you, Paul, and it was even hard for me to do. So, I've been supporting Hull City probably properly since, the early 80s, I would say, was when I first started going. And I've been lucky enough to go to a lot of Hull City matches in my time, and it's been difficult this 11. And I said to Joe off air that it would have been nice if we'd have had a subs bench, and I think Paul wanted 200 on the subs bench. Did you want or something?
I think it was more 600. I probably thought. I can remember my dad taking you to football. To be fair, and he said all you did was go to the tuck van to have something to eat. It must have been a bad game.
Listen, it was the early 80s. What do you expect, really?
Yeah.
We weren't that good at some points in there. There were some good times and there were some bad times. So yeah, I probably did go to the tuck van, and I enjoyed the tuck. It was good. Anyway,
well, as I said off air, I've picked a team, but also I thought for a bit of fun I'd pick a local team of players who live in around Hull, who played for Hull City. It's not an exhaustive list, but I've got a team. In goal, Steve Wilson.
Okay.
Right back, Louis Coyle. Actually, it's one of the centre backs, Richard Jobson. The other centre back, Jacob Greaves. The left back, Josh Simon. Midfield, Nick Barmby. Chris Simpkin. I can't read my writing. Chris Simpkin. I'll come back to the other one. Forwards, Keane Lewis Potter, Chris Chilton, Dean Windass. Oh, that was it, yeah. I said Nick Barmby, didn't I? Who else was it?
Yes,
Gareth Roberts. Gareth Roberts.
Yes.
Roberts.
Nice.
So I don't think that'd be a bad team on the heyday. If they was all playing together, I don't think it'd be too bad a team, to be quite honest.
It's quite an eclectic.
Don't think it'd be.
Oh yeah.
Well, you have to. Look, it's very, people who played for not everybody who plays for Hull City is born around the whole area.
Yeah,
unfortunately, else it'd be easy, wouldn't it? Also, there's Liam Cooper played for Leeds, didn't they? There's obviously Jacob Greaves' dad, who could have played.
Yeah.
Brandon Fleming, He could have been in there. There's a fair few other
was
players.
Justin Whittle a local kid, or was he not a local kid? Is he just stayed up here?
I don't think he was on the list. I know one of them was Jeff Emmerman. He actually went to school with me, and I think one of his goals. I think he went to Wolves. And I think he had a match of the day, the goal of the season, or a goal of the month put in. So, he played for City. I don't think he was there that long though. So, as I say, that was the local team anyway. So you lot can start on the other teams if you want.
We'll come to it in 1 second. Let's just say to anybody that's listening or anybody that's watching, if you want to give us your team, your best 11, then pop them on the comments on here, or you can WhatsApp them to me on 01482 772 663 if you're listening on the radio. Your best 11, your favourite 11. It doesn't have to be, the most talented. It's just the ones that you think, was the best or whatever. I mean, probably some of mine aren't the most talented players that we've had, but I think that they deserve to be in there, and that's that's what I've gone for. So yeah, let us know what your best 11 is, because it'd be interesting to see some of yours as well. Who wants to start?
I just want to say quickly, for a matter of the audience interest, shall we say when we first started watching Hull City? Eddie, you've said early 80s. I first went to a game in April 2013 when I was 7 years old. Christian?
1992-93 season I went. Was my very, very first City game. So I was about 7 at the time, was when I very first went. I would say, though, I went with friends and family, not religiously at first. It was whole, local club, get me into my local club. And I'd say I was about 14 when I just got addicted. And I mean, addicted.
You got the bug.
Oh my God, I got the bug. Right, this is naughty. Hopefully Taxman doesn't come after me for this one and no one gets in trouble for this. But when I was 16, I ended up getting a stewarding job at Boothry Park just so I could watch the games. And I was telling them I was 18 years old at the time. I was the biggest baby face in the world. And I was 16 just so I could go to every game. They put me on West, just right in front, right next to directors, right next to everyone was, just so I could watch the game. Loved it, absolutely. And ever since, God, yeah, as you can tell, well, look, I'm here now. So the bug has not left. So yeah, no, 1992 was when I started with Hull City. Was my very first game. And I can tell you now, some of the players that I'll be bringing up, I don't think in my lineup I've got a player past. Let me just double check my little notes. I don't think I've got anyone who's played past the 2017. I don't think there's a single player since. Yeah, I've got no one who's played past 2017. So
I've got one that's played past 2017.
Yeah, not for Hull. I mean, I've got players who are still playing. And if we were doing a sub bench, then yeah, I've got a few that played and came back on my sub bench, but not. Yeah, no one who's generally at Hull. I'm just going through the list. No. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting lineup. I'll tell you that one.
Paul, it'll be interesting to hear when you first started watching.
We've been about 64-ish, round about there, probably about 9 or 10 at the time when I started going. Yeah, I loved the atmosphere at Boothry Park, to be fair. I thought it was better than MKM, but there you are. They've got to move on. I thought the Boothry Park atmosphere was fantastic, and Bunkers Hill, or the South Stand, was great. It's it was good days, excellent days. I suppose in some ways it's a shame the move, but you've got to move. You've got to progress, and obviously since they've gone to the MKM, they have moved up, haven't they? Realistically, I mean, there was in second division. It was then. They had the first division. City was in the second. They nearly got to the promised land, I suppose, of the first division a couple of times, but there was really a sort of second, third division team, I think, most of the time. There was entertaining. I think that was a good thing, and obviously football was different then, wasn't it? You could make a juicy tackle and get away with it. And I mean, when the snow was on the ground, they still played. They just drew some lines at the side and things like that. It's changed a lot now.
Magic water and a bit of sponge. That's it.
That's all they had. Yeah, they didn't have much else. They got up anyway, didn't they? As soon as you come with that magic sponge freezing, they got up.
It was the magic sponge. Half-time cigar break and a magic sponge. That's all you needed.
Yeah.
And as you say, you are right. Football's changed massively. I mean, I was really lucky. As I said, I started going in the 80s, and I was lucky that me Nana had a lodger, and my Nana's lodger basically, his friend was in the Merchant Navy, and he had a season pass for the best stand, which was the West Stand. It still wasn't the best stand, I can tell you. It wasn't the best at all, but it was classed as the best stand. And he used to get this guy's pass when he didn't go, and he didn't go a lot because he was in the Merchant Navy. So when he had this pass, he used to take me on this pass, and I used to sit in the best stand, was quite near the director's box at the time, and I went to a lot of games just by doing that, just by going in on his friend's Merchant Navy pass. And then after that, it was like you used to be able to go in at half time at Boothry Park. They opened the gates, so I couldn't afford a ticket. But I used to go in at half time, and I used to watch the game after half time because that's, I used to live 5 minutes away from it. So it was good, and I've seen some good times at Boothry Park. So, so seen some good times at the MKM Stadium as well. I've been really lucky. And, I suppose it's always confused me that people in Hull aren't Hull City fans. It's always been a little bit of a bugbear for me, is that, these Liverpool fans, these Manchester United fans, there's even people that support that white team, I can't say the other word, from West Yorkshire as well that live in Hull. And I'm just like, what are you doing?
It's a lot of it stemmed when City was in the second and third divisions a lot, and people like to have a team in the old first division. Obviously, City weren't there, and I think it sort of stemmed a little bit from that. Man United obviously been in there, Liverpool. I think they're one of the two other teams. Leeds was in, obviously, as well. And I think that's probably what got people into them teams. There's no other reason. I don't think so. I'd hate to think that people living in Hull was wanting somebody like Manchester or Liverpool or Leeds to do well and Hull City not to. But I think it was the fact that we were sort of a Division 1 team. I think people sort of just went and they had to have a division, like maybe Hull City was the team, but they also supported a Division 1 team. Now they're in the Premiership. They want them even more, I suppose. But no, you've got to be City through and through, I think, haven't you? I've always wanted City to do well, and I'm glad they are. Well, they have done well over the last few years, haven't they, to be fair?
So listen, we're quarter of an hour in. We need to get on with these teams because we've all got 11 to talk about. Are we doing it one at a time? Are we starting off with let's do the goalkeeper and all give a goal?
Yeah.
How are we doing it, Joe?
Let's all do the goalie, all do the back four, all do the midfield, wingers and strikers. Because I know me and Adi have got 4-4-2. Paul, you've got 4-3-3. Christian, have you got 4-4-2 as well?
4-4-2 as well, yeah. 4-4-2 yep.
Yeah. So you're the outlier. So
well, one of mine can drop into the midfield if you want. I ain't bothered. I can drop one into the midfield.
What we'll do then
changes on the lineup.
What we'll do is we'll do goalkeeper, back four. The three of us will do our two central midfielders. Paul will do his three central midfielders. Then we'll do wide players and strikers. As sort of all together.
Okay. Right. Well, I'm going to take the lead on this, and I'm going to tell you my goalkeeper, which is probably my most shocking one of my pick, I would say, maybe to some people. But my number one is Tony Norman.
Oh no, I can see that.
You must have been looking at over my shoulder because that's who I picked.
There you go. Well, and we haven't talked, just for anybody that's thinking any of us have talked, none of us have talked about this 11 until we've come live now. So nobody's said the 11. Tony Norman, I liked Tony. I thought he was really good goalkeeper for Hull City. He was a long-time servant for Hull City and served us really well. So that was me one. I could have had somebody else, but I'll let Joe go and tell us who he's picked.
I have gone for Alan McGregor.
Yeah, well, I can see that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I can definitely see Alan McGregor in that
Yeah.
one. Yeah, it was
in my time span watching Hull City, he was the best for us, and outside of Hull City, he's had the best career of any other goalkeeper we've had, in my view.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
I definitely agree with that one. Alan McGregor was one of those that was on my shortlist, and I could have said it was down to a coin toss. I really could have, but mine was a very long servant. Great guy, met him a few times. Even got his signature, I believe, on this top right up here. Even though it's a normal one, but I know he's a goalie, but he's on it. Boaz Myhill.
I could see that.
He would have been my second Christian to Tony Norman. So I was toing and froing between the two. So I definitely get that.
I
think the three good keepers for Hull City. I think all three have been good servants to Hull City. So you couldn't argue with any of the three. I don't think, to be honest.
No.
Obviously,
Tim put Tony Norman in goal as well, and we'll see if any of these other names that Tim has popped in the chat crop up later. Anything else to add on the goalies, guys?
I think we've had some really good goalies, to be quite honest with you. I mean, you mentioned Steve Wilson in your local team, and Steve Wilson was a tiny goalkeeper, but I thought he did a really good job for us in goal. And it was always sort of number two, but then when he's in goal, he's number one. But he was always playing second goalkeeper to somebody. But I thought when he was called into action, he always did the team proud and put a really good effort in. So, that's all I would say on the goalkeepers to add on to that is, Steve Wilson was good. One more thing, sorry, shall I say? Alan Fettis, goalkeeper come striker.
Yeah.
Nice.
I nearly put Ian McKechnie in, but I thought I can't go back with all my players, so I didn't bother me. He used to be good, and he could half kick the ball down the pitch, and he used to throw oranges at him every match.
Did you stand at the goalpost having a fag at half time as well?
Probably did, yeah. They all did, didn't they? Yeah. But yeah, it was a character, I think, But I went for Tony Norman because, a bit like you said, he was a good servant and a good goalkeeper, to be fair.
Yeah.
So
nice.
Okay, so are we doing all the back four, or are we just doing one at a time?
Let's do all the back fours, and then we can dissect them together.
Okay. Yeah, so I've been starting, so I'll start with my right back, which is Louis Coyle. He's my most recent player.
I've done the same. I set myself a rule where, to make it a bit interesting, I had to put one current player in. And for right back, I thought, if there's any current player I'm putting in, it's that man. Louis Coyle's in for me. AD, continue.
Next, I've got Curtis Davis. And I'm not going to say that he was, our best defender, but what a guy he is. He's a good defender. He scored some good headers, and he's such a likable guy. I've seen him on podcasts, on interviews, on lots of different things, and he's just such a nice guy. You can't ask for anybody nicer than Curtis Davis. So Curtis, he had to get into my team. The next one, he obviously had to be in my team because he's a local lad and he's done so well, and he's now playing in the Premier League. I'm bigging him up. It's Jacob Greaves. He's got to be your left-sided central defender for me. And I've got a few. Obviously, Curtis is a few years ago. Louis recent. Jacob's recent. My left back is Andy Dawson. And Andy Dawson, I think he did the 10 years for Hull City.
He did. He got a testimonial.
Yeah. So I'm sure, and he's played a lot of games for City. He's now at City. He's on the bench. He's in the dugout. So to me, he's still giving to Hull City at the moment. So to not have him in my back four, I think would have been wrong. So that's my back four: Louis Coyle, Curtis Davis, Jacob Greaves, and Andy Dawson.
Paul?
Right, my back four completely different to yours.
Well, that's
I've
good.
gone Ahmed El Mohammadi, because I always thought he put in a really good shift.
I can see
real
that.
Big character. Centre half, it's going back at, one of the centre halves or mid centres, Emmeline Hughes. captain at Liverpool, played for England. Maybe wasn't here too long, obviously towards the back of his career, but really good player, and I think he won plenty. The other one I've gone obviously a bit more recent, because I think, he gets a lot of stick, and I think he is a good centre half for England and Man United, Harry Maguire. I
Yeah.
don't think we played him as often as we should have done, because I
No.
thought he was probably the best centre back we had at the time.
Yeah,
Because he
back
brought the ball out, he looked quite confident. And left back, well, I've gone for Andy Robertson because, he's just won everything and he's captain of Scotland. Great left back. I don't think, again, we got the best out of him, but possibly the way we played. And obviously, he's playing with better players, but, he had loads of speed, and he seems a really genuine sort of guy. I just think, I would put him. I can understand you putting in, thingy. I can't think of his name now. Yeah, Andy Dawson. I can understand you putting him. He was on my radar, but I just thought.
Yeah, listen, if we're talking, obviously Robertson was there, Maguire was there. There was both there in my sort of thing, and I'm thinking about them, and I'm just thinking, I don't know, and that was it. But no, listen, that back four is a great back four as well. Well done.
Yeah, me. I said I went for Louis Coyle, like you, AD. I've then gone for a bit of a mix of both of yours and Paul's. I've gone for Harry Maguire, Jacob Greaves, and Andy Robertson. I've preempted Jacob Greaves going on to play for England because he just will, and that's a fact. Wait until I'm proven right in 2026 when he goes to the World Cup. Robertson, I probably would have put Dawson in there, but I never actually saw him play in a competitive game. I saw him.
Wow. Yeah.
I saw him come on in his testimonial where he got like 5 minutes, but that doesn't count really.
No.
He was good left back.
Can I just say the free kick at Middlesbrough?
I am so happy you brought that up, Eddie.
Wow,
I
was behind the goal at Middlesbrough, and that free kick that he scored at Middlesbrough was some free kick. Did we lose that 4-3?
Yeah, it was.
I think we lost 4-3 that night. And, to get that goal, I mean, we all erupted behind that goal when he scores that. What a left peg he had. What a free kick. If we had somebody that could take a free kick like Andy Dawson at the moment, I tell you, we'd have scored far more goals than we have.
Every free kick. Yeah. Every free. Yeah, the second he got on it, it's like, it's going to be a goal. It's going to be a goal. It was. Every time Dawes stood up for a free kick, it was, it's going to be a goal. With the confidence in every fan when there was a free kick around the box, it was like, it's going in. Who cares?
Yeah.
It's going
in.
It
was a really good left back. Yeah, really good left back.
Oh, sorry.
Brilliant free kicks.
And I've just, sorry, Joe, you was saying yours, but, sorry, you
bringing memories. You're staring memories of you, Joe. You get me emotional.
I've got one more little thing to say. Another candidate for me who I didn't end up picking, just because Harry Maguire's got to, England World Cup semi-final, Euros final, and he just beat him. Andrea Ranocchia was a candidate for me. Obviously played for Inter Milan for a lot of years, but Harry Maguire just pipped him for me. Christian, wrap these back fours up.
Oh, well, you've said all the names already. Paul, I'm going to go with your right back, Elmo Hamady.
Yeah, good right back.
I felt so sorry for Elmo to begin with because it took so long for him to get into the squad, and you could just see his quality from the start. And when he got it, the effort he put in and to swing that ball in as much as he did, Elmo was, he was the first. If anything, when I was doing this list, he was the first name I put on. I loved Elmo that much. He was the first name I put on. Centre backs, Eddie, Curtis Davis. That guy, he was. There was that one season where he was floating on air, and England were playing crap. And but they were playing awful. And all I'm going to say with that is he should have come on. He should have been for England, but he didn't. Damien Delaney. Yeah, his celebration. Yeah, I do. Yeah. Damien Delaney is my other one.
A good choice. I like Damien Delaney.
Yeah. Damien Delaney, so many memories with that guy. God, I will tell you a few other memories, but it's not for the radio. But Gentleman, though, he is a gent. He was through and through professional when I was around him, and he was a bit like do you know what? He would suit Volta's style to a T right now.
Yeah,
he actually would. He would suit Volta's style to a T.
He liked stepping out, didn't he? He really liked stepping out.
He did. He loved it.
I was
and,
at the
he was good left back cover as well. He was good left back cover.
I was at the what was the thing that we had where it was the old team a few
the 03-04 reunion.
Yes, of course it was. And Damien was there, and they played the goal that he scored where he was just like Lionel Messi and he run down the pitch. Absolutely outstanding. And you're right, Christian. At that he was such a nice guy. When you listen to him talk, he was really, really good. So good.
Yeah, he scored for Palace, didn't he, against Liverpool? Something similar.
Yeah, I think he did actually. I think you're right there, Paul.
Yeah, I think he did score one similar there. Yeah, he's a good centre back. I mean, we've had some good players over the years, just not all together, possibly.
Well, that was the thing. Look, if you're going off like my little side bench, look, I've got Harry Maguire written down, and I tell you another two centre backs I've got written down, which pipped it close for me, to be honest. One of them, Leon Court. The other one, Michael Turner.
Michael Turner. It was honestly, he was on my thoughts and on my radar as well. I definitely get Michael Turner. He was a good way. I mean, he could have gone on to really good things, but I just think for some reason it just didn't work for him totally, did it?
No, it didn't massively. No, I can't remember who we were playing against. It was a free kick and it came to him, but he turned and he got it on the volley and pegged it top corner. And it was just that one game I remember. I just can't remember we were playing. It's going to do my nuts in now for the rest of tonight, this guy. So I will remember later on. I promise you.
There's also Michael Dawson as well, isn't there?
Mike Dawson, with his little stint. But
another one.
Those guys are always going to be impacting my memory. Sorry, I'm going down memory lane. Everybody who's listening on the radio. It's got nostalgia. It's running through me right now. But my left back, let's go to it. Andy Dawson. We've already spoke about it. We all know the reason why. Legend. Free kick
definite legend for the club. I think all of us have got some good back fours. We've got any back fours on the messages, Joe?
So Tim popped in Nisbet, Roberts, Jobson, and Jacobs. And Joe popped in Sam Ricketts, James Chester, Damien Delaney, and Andy Dawson.
Yeah, we couldn't argue with them either, could you?
No, not really. Ricketts was a servant as well. He did a lot. It was a lot of chopping and changing. Chester, when he came, I mean, that back line changed.
Yeah,
that season when he came in, because there wasn't really much stability then, and then when Chester came in, personally, I thought that's when our back line kind of was a bit more complete. Yeah, it did. It got a lot better.
That little Man United, that started sort of the Man United influx coming in, didn't it? With him coming in,
it was like 3 or 4 in.
And I think it really helped us. Did the ex-Man United players coming through, and we got some. Obviously with everything, you get some good ones, you get some not so good ones, but there was some really good. Some really good ones coming out. I've got a team here on the WhatsApp that's come through as well. So Alan Fettis in goal. This is from Andrew Scott. He had Moses Odubajo. Well, listen, I like Moses Odubajo.
Had we got more seasons out of him, I would maybe have agreed. But because we only got one season where he played any football, I couldn't really go for it. But although for that one season he was incredible.
Yeah, he was I didn't like the way that he left us. To be honest, I was a bit sour and a bit bitter with that, and that might just be me. I'm a horrible guy when it comes to Hull City, and if somebody upsets me about Hull City, then I get really annoyed with it. He's got Rico. Is it Rioch? Roich.
Rioch,
Rioch.
Neil Mann and Curtis Davis. And Justin Whittle we put an extra sort of centre back in as a left back. We'll let him have that, to be honest. So that's Andrew's back four and his goalkeeper. Thanks for sending him in, Andrew. It's good to hear from you tonight. I'll go through the rest and we'll go through them as we go through ours. Anybody else want to send him in? It's 01482 772 663. Comment on the podcast here. Give us your 11 favourite, best, whatever it is. players for Hull City. And we'll get on to, we're doing the central midfielders, did you say?
Yes. So you, AD, myself, and Christian, we have 2 each. And because Paul's got an extra one, he can have the privilege of going first.
My 3 in midfield. I remember him. Can I remember him? Yeah. Chris Simpkin. He was with, in the 60s. Local lad as well.
Yeah.
Giovanni. Which, more a bit up to date. One I never actually saw play, but I was listening to my dad and he said Rach Carter, best player at the time. So I put him in for my dad mainly, to be quite honest. Brilliant player. I think at the time he was probably England's best player. Obviously, it's a long, long while ago. As I say, I didn't see him play, but my dad said he was brilliant. So I put him in for my dad as much as out else. But they're my 3 midfielders.
I like that.
Fair comment. Yeah, I like that. And I do as well. I think that's really good. And it's good to have Rage Carter included because obviously what a servant he was for the club. And, it's none of us have seen him play, but, obviously we all know of him and we all know what he did.
Point. Should have been a founding member of the Hall of Fame. It's a crime he wasn't, and it's a crime he's still not in it.
Definitely. And I totally agree with you, Joe. Definitely should be and should have been a founding member. I agree with you totally. Who's going next?
Christian, do you want to go?
Yeah, go on then. Why not? Ian Ashby. It's got to be.
Yeah.
You can't not put him in. I mean, technically not the best player in the world ever. But if you wanted an engine in a mean machine to win you the ball back, that was Ian Ashby. And you've got to love him for that. Now, I know he's more attacking, this next player, but Paul just mentioned him. It's Giovanni. It's got to be. That goal against Arsenal will forever live with me. It will be. That is still to this day, that goal that gives you goosebumps when you rewatch it.
It is.
And it was beautiful. It was so nice. And I can't just say that game. I really can't with respect to Giovanni. And it was really hard. I will say central midfield was extremely hard when you've got the likes of Tom Huddleston to go back to. And one that, this is a really, really careful one when I say this, but I say careful. Ryan Mason.
Oh, I like that.
Ryan Mason. Just a shout out for Ryan Mason. Obviously, unfortunately, what happened, but he was, and still, if he could have kept on going, obviously, all know why, but if he kept on going, he would have been a Hull City legend through and through. And he was brilliant. He was just class, pure class. I could go on all day about him, but
the thing,
they're my backup ones.
I thought he struggled a little bit settling in and we weren't getting results. But then Marco Silva came in and he started to pick up. And we saw why he played for England and why we paid the club record fee for him. Still is our club record fee. And he said he didn't want to be on the bench at Tottenham. He came here to prove himself. And it's such a shame what happened.
Yeah.
And it's one of the biggest what ifs in Hull City history for me. Club record signing, and it just got cut so brutally short.
Yeah.
But I think he'll go on to have success in coaching. He's been interim manager for Tottenham a few times, and I think a time will come when he gets a break, whether in League One or the Championship, as a manager, like Sean Maloney has at Wigan. Tom Huddleston's a coach at Birmingham now, for example. So, total respect for Ryan Mason for me.
I just say, if we're picking managers as well, you mentioned Marco Silva. Really controversial. Was my favourite manager at City. I know we got relegated. He brought Maguire. He brought out Robinson. He got, Ryan Mason. You've got to think, whilst he was there, the plays that he crafted and the style of football he made, and it was a hard time for him to take over the club and expect what they wanted out of him. If we just give him a bit of time, that tiny bit extra.
Yeah, well, he's proved
Yeah.
himself a good manager, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's doing really well with Fulham, isn't he? So, and they have a lot of managers have a blip or a club what just doesn't seem to work for them, and then they go to another club and it's all systems go
I
again.
thought he
So,
sorted us out massively. I
Yeah.
thought
No,
he
he,
honestly.
he certainly did. I think it was that thing of like, we wanted him to come back for another season. He wanted higher things because we just missed out, didn't we? We just we needed him in for, as you say, we needed him 5 games earlier and would have stayed up that season. But we didn't, and I think that's the situation. He wanted more than we could give him. I think, obviously the Allams get slated very regularly, but I think, they tried hard to sign him and to keep him, but they just couldn't manage it. And, it's a shame that he didn't stay on for us. So, but it's one of those things, isn't it? Joe, do you want to give your 2 central midfielders?
Very, very quickly. I've gone my central midfield 2. Tom Huddleston, Jean-Michel Seri. The 2 best technical players I have ever seen on the ball at Hull City, bar none. Both of them just so composed. Their passing ranges were both incredible. And yeah, I've got nothing else to say on either of them, really. Both just incredible players.
Good shout, Joe.
Everyone knows my affection for David Myler. And we were saying before we went on air that I was so tempted, but I couldn't justify, as much as I love David Myler, I couldn't justify putting him in over Tom Huddleston or Jean-Michel Seri. Another thing I'll say, just finally, if we're going overall careers in terms of whoever's played for Hull City over our 120 years, JJ Okocha is possibly one of the first names on the team sheet in that central/wide area.
Yeah. Well, Okocha was definitely in my mind. It was one that was definitely on my mind. I didn't put him in. He's not in my 11. But my 2, they've both been mentioned already. Ian Ashby. I couldn't not put Ian Ashby in. Obviously massive servant to the club. He should have had his testimonial. It just didn't work out for him having the testimonial. I was gutted for Ashby that he didn't get the testimonial, to be quite honest with you. And that was a little bit of bad management by the club, to be quite honest with you. And Tom Huddleston, Tom Huddleston, what a wonder of a foot. He was, when he came to Hull City, it was one of them where Tom Huddleston's come to Hull City. Are you kidding me? We've got Tom Huddleston playing for Hull City. And this was I loved watching Tom, and, obviously he had a couple of injury problems and stuff like that. But if we had, I can't remember, what was the first game of the season that I'd gone to? It was Chelsea, was away at Chelsea, first game of the season. And would signed Livermore on loan and would signed Huddleston. And we was playing absolutely shocking first half. You watched that first half and you thought, oh my God, this is terrible to watch. Huddleston and Livermore comes on at half time and it's a different game against Chelsea. You're like, what? What's just happened? And them 2 just calmed everything down. They had a nice touch on the ball. They're passing the ball about a bit. And you're thinking, them 2 just came in and changed the total game for Hull City against Chelsea. Away Chelsea was like, what? So yeah, Tom Huddleston. I couldn't leave him out. And as I say, Ian Ashby, what a legend for the club. The club should give him a testimonial now because, he has been that good. He's stayed in Hull. He's got Hull in his blood, even though he's a Birmingham lad. He should be given a testimonial. That's my 2.
Maybe Stan might get one.
Stan McEwen?
Yeah.
No, Stan Ashby.
No, Stan
Ashby. Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, let's hope he can. I'll just tell you here, I've still got Andrew Scott's top 11 here, and he had Huddleston, which we've mentioned, and George Boateng, which is a good shout. George Boateng, good player for the club. So that's who we've got from Andrew. He's put them 2 in. Who have we got online, Joe?
In chat, Marsh has put his in now. He's gone for a 3-5-2. Boas Myhill in goal, back 3. Turner Greaves and Jobbo, Elmo and Elliott as wing backs, Ashby, Tom Huddleston, and Giovanni in the midfield. Joel put Huddleston and Ashby in there, and so did Tim Blagden.
There we go.
Should we go for wide
we're all-
players?
we're
then?
all, we're all thinking similar, aren't we, on these?
We are. I think
Yeah.
very similar.
Yeah.
Christian, do you want to start with your wide players?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident anybody and everybody is going to do this one for left mid. Stuart Elliott.
I'm not old enough to remember him.
And it was definitely on my thoughts, Christian. And I was tossing up, but yeah, I can listen. He'd definitely be on my subs bench.
Yeah, just the amount of impact when he came on as well, and you could have been 3-0 down, and he would have won 4-3 when he came on. He was that type of player. It's just don't start him though. Don't start him. Just bring him on. And on the right hand side, Jared Bowen. It's got to be. It was a breath of fresh air coming through City. To have a player like that, and it was like one of your own type situations, almost kind of feeling, young lad, and you watched him grow, and obviously look at his career now. I mean, wow, what a career he's got now, and you could just see him being destined for great things. And the goals he scored for us was just, you know what? There shouldn't have even been goals, but he bloody did it. He got those goals right where you wanted them, in that bottom corner or top corner.
Yeah.
He was great. He was amazing.
One I always remember for Bowen, and he's on my right wing, is against Preston, where Declan Rudd is guarding his left-hand post. Bowen's right on the byline and just pops it somehow in between Declan Rudd and the post and into the far.
Like I said, he should be scoring these goals, but he does it.
He had absolutely no right to do that, and did it. And playing for England, scored the winning goal for West Ham in the Conference League final a few years ago. He's their captain now. He's on the right wing for me, and on the left, I've gone for his partner in crime for so many years, Kamil Grzycki.
Yeah, I thought you would do that one.
Yeah, I like Kamil. He was a definite character, and there's nothing not to like about Kamil Grzycki, and he scored some goals.
He did.
Yeah, he did.
Took a bit of time to start though, didn't he? It took a bit of time for City to get into the groove, but then when he did, it was too easy for him in the end. Really, a lot of his goals. So
that free kick he scored from like the halfway line against Millwall.
Yeah,
I still don't know how he did that. He didn't mean it.
God,
I don't know how he did it.
No,
blast from the past, that one. Wow, that one. I remember that. Yeah, wow.
I remember it well. Yeah. Let's go with yours then, Paul.
Well, I've got three, haven't I? I haven't really played two wingers. I've probably got a winger, but
go for it.
My three up front. Shall I say them?
Decide now on two to go out wide, then you've got someone to do with our strikers.
Someone to go. Oh, I can't put two out wide. No way. I can put one out wide.
Do you one then?
It's Jared Bowen, obviously. You could not pick a City team, I don't think, without him in it, to be quite honest. As Christian said and Joe said what he's got on to do. Captain of West Ham, coming from Hull City, he's going to be captain of West Ham. He's playing for England. He's always in the England squad now, just about, and he's done really well at West Ham. He's played centre forward by himself, hasn't he, sometimes. So you couldn't put a Hull City team out, I don't think, without him being in it, to be honest.
I'll tell you, Andrews. He's got Stuart Elliott and he's got David Rocastle.
Another good player.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
The two more good players. And you say you can't have a team without Jared Bowen in. I've got a team without Jared Bowen in.
All right.
And it's only because I had to get Giovanni in there somewhere. So I've put him out on my wing because I had to get Giovanni in. I couldn't have my team without Giovanni in. And the other one, I had to go for a local lad. And when he came to Hull City, he was a little bit like Tom Huddleston. He's never going to sign for us. He's a local lad, but he's never going to sign for us. How are we going to afford him? And we did a little bit of a deal, I think, at the time with Smith and Nephew. And I think Smith and Nephew was paying some of his wages. And we managed to get him in. And we got Nick Barmby into Hull City. And I couldn't not have Nick Bambi in the team because, England international. He's played in that 5-1 win for England against Germany. He played really well for City. And as soon as he came on, a lot of the time, because of his age, he was coming on off the subs bench. But the whole stadium got a lift when Nick Bambi came on. And, scored some great goals for us, give us a really good lift. He's there in the 2008, championship playoff final. And, I couldn't have Nick Bambi in my team. So that's my two, Giovanni and Nick Bambi.
Nice. Can I just say one player before we move on? And
Go for it.
Not a big player, not class in any way, shape, or form to you lot, but he was massively important for me and my support of Hull City growing up, like I said, when I was about 14. David Beresford, left winger. Nickname from me, Speedy Gonzalez. He got the ball. Do you know in Forrest Gump when they say keep on running? And he just doesn't stop running. And I mean, he'll just keep going and run out of when he was playing football and he ran out the football pitch. That was David Beresford. He got the ball at his feet. He could have had it at your goal. He would have run it all the way up that left-hand side of the pitch. But his head never went up and he never crossed it in time because he ran out of pitch and he kept on going. But for me, that player was, when he came on and when he was starting, the atmosphere of Boothry Park just screamed when he got the ball because he got bums off seats. And that was the thing for me. That's why I want to just shout him out now. He's not a huge player in by any way, means, or shape, form, not eye-catching. But for a player with history that did something for the club as in the support and bring everything about, David Beresford for me, he got me. There's my bug right there. A player like David Beresford. So thank you to him.
Wingers off the internet, Joe.
So off the internet, we showed Marsh's wide players as Elmo and Elliot. Joe popped Stuart Green and Stuart Elliott. Stuart squared
Stuart
there.
Green.
I like Greeny.
Yeah.
Tim Blagden went for Stuart Elliott and Brian Marwood.
Marwood was a good player.
Yeah. And what have we got on the WhatsApp?
I've already done the WhatsApp one. That was Rocastle and Stuart Elliott.
Oh yeah, you did.
So yes, we've done those. So we're finally on to the attackers, which is good because we've already got just over 8.5 minutes on the radio left. So it's good to get on to the attackers. We're going to start with you, Joe.
Okay. The first one I've gone for is Nikica Jelavic, top scorer in the Premier League for us. Did well at Everton before, played for Rangers before he came to England as well. And then like I did with Greaves, I've done some preempting. And this man, when Harry Kane retires from England international duty, this man will take his place as England's starting striker for the next however many years. And that man is Liam Delap. Had he been fit last season, it's another big what if. We're like Ryan Mason. What could have happened? But whatever. Whether Rossini was still the manager or not, there was no way we were ever getting Liam Delap permanently or on loan again this summer, just because he is that good. And Ipswich fans are starting to see that. They've taken to him like we took to him. And sometimes it just takes the right style of play to bring a player out of their shell. It didn't work for Delap at Preston or at Stoke. It worked for him here, and he's smashing it with Ipswich. And one day he will smash it for England as well. And that's why I've put him in. He will play for England. 100%.
Some good choices. Paul, let's have yours.
Well, my two are legends as far as I'm concerned. There's two obvious ones you could. It's the obvious ones: Wagstaff and Chilton. The best two goal scorers we had. I think if we had them now, we'd be well up in the Premiership, because Wagstaff to me was a Division 1 Premiership now, isn't it? Division 1 player. I think he liked to drink a little bit and other things, so he never quite made it, but he was a brilliant player. And Chilton, great centre forward. You'd have him every day of the week up front. Good in the air, good on the floor, played well together. You know, they scored plenty of goals, and Wagstaff got you off your seat every week. And some of the goals he scored, well, both of them, some of the goals they scored were brilliant. So I couldn't go past them two. They was my first two choices. So I just went back from them sort of thing.
Christian.
Oh, God. This was the hardest one. This was really hard for me. All right, let's just give a shout out now to Dino, but he's not in my two, but give a shout out to Dino. You can't not give Dino rest.
What a guy.
What a guy.
Yeah.
My first one, Marlon King. For me. Reason
Can I
why?
just
Go on.
raise something with you, Christian? So you've got Myhill, El Mohammadi, Davis, Delaney, Dawson, Ashby, Mason, Giovanni, Bowen, King, Elliott, and you said you've got one more. You picked 12.
No. Sorry, who did you say? No, I've got. Yeah, do you know what? Here's my list. And you can see, because you might have wrote them down wrong. Here's my list right now. There. Who did you say?
There's nothing come up. There's nothing come up. Am I?
It's in the chat.
In the chat.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
So
Mason was a shout out. Okay, yeah, I get you.
Yeah, with a shout out.
While he's tossing it up, Christian, tell us the other one.
The other one, Craig Fagan.
Yeah,
Craig Fagan.
Yeah.
It's service to Hull. Yeah, Craig Fagan. It was there for God knows. He did everything. We came up with the Premiership, the Championship, did all the leagues with us. I think pretty much, didn't he? From my knowledge, I think he did almost all the leagues. And just week in, week out, he was always there. So yeah, Craig Fagan.
Very good. Well, I've done similar, a similar thing to me dad. In the case that he's given a shout out to his dad, my granddad, with one of his players. Well, I'm giving a shout out to my dad with one of mine, because I never watched him play, but obviously he was outstanding for Hull City. And Ken Wagstaff, what a legend. So he is one of my strikers. The other one has been mentioned a lot of times tonight already. And it's Dino. It had to be Dino because he scored that goal that took us for the first time to Wembley. To the Premier League from that Wembley playoff, which, you know, as a Hull City fan, that's still my best day as a Hull City fan. We've been to the FA Cup final. We've got promoted again. You know, we've had lots of games in the Premier League. We've done all this, but my best game, it was a rubbish game. If you watch it back, it was a rubbish game.
We could have lost.
We could have lost it. Yeah, we certainly
should have lost.
Probably. We probably should have lost it, but we didn't. We won, and you know, do you know what? We stayed over. My dad was with us. We all stayed over in a hotel on the night, and then we drove back to Hull. And I had my Hull City shirt on, and I think we stopped at a couple of services on the way. And there was Leeds fans and Doncaster fans, I think it was, going down because they was in the League One playoff final, and these people coming over, shaking me hand. Oh, yeah, brilliant, mate. You know, Hull City in the Premier League for the first time. I was mobbed by people because I had my Hull City shirt on. And all I can say is that, you know, whether it was the best game that we've had or not, it was my best game and my best feeling. You know, I remember at 90 minutes, me and me old man there, we was hugging each other because, you know, we've got to the Premier League for the first time. So for me, it couldn't have been anybody else in me front striking partnership. Dean Winters had to be in there, and I'll just say that Andrew's gone the same with me with Dean Winters, and he's gone for Kevin Francis, big Kev Francis.
Okay,
it's not one that I thought of, but you know what a player he was, and a big lad. You know, you'd have him in your team, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Well, Billy Whitehurst.
Billy Whitehurst is a really good shout. And, you know, big Billy Whitehurst, what a character he is. I saw him at Hornsey for the Hull City Official Supporters Club a few years ago now. And, yeah, I mean, you couldn't put him on the radio. You definitely couldn't put him on the radio. But have we got any more in the chat?
We have. So to finish off the ones in the chat, Marsh has put in Peyton and Abel Hernandez. He's one who deserves a shout out. Abel Hernandez.
Yes,
Love
definitely.
the
And
goal.
listen, I thought about Abel. I really did. He was
So
on
did I.
my list. Yeah.
Yeah.
So did I. I thought about him. Joel has gone for Giovanni up top and Nick Barmby in behind. Tim went for Pearson and Abel Hernandez.
Pearson.
Honourable mention here from Guy to Matty
Matty
Fryer.
Manny
Yeah.
Fryer, yeah. And I mean, Andrew's got some subs on here. We'll let Andrew have the subs. We ain't got long left. Dwayne Darby,
Okay, nice.
Jacob Greaves, Gary Brabin. I remember when he punched somebody. He was a rock hard man, wasn't
Yeah.
he, Gary Brabin?
Yeah.
Ian
Justin
Goodison
Whittle's
and
centre-back
Theo
partner.
Whitmore.
Theo, well,
Good
Theo.
player, yeah,
The two
yeah.
Jamaicans, you can't not talk about them two, I suppose, when you're talking about a City team. So I like that from Andrew Scott. He says he's 43 years old, so been supporting them nearly as long as I have. Well done. Thanks for all your input on it. We've got 40 seconds left on the radio. We'll carry on the podcast, but
We'll
let's
get
just...
yours, Joe.
One little shout out from me finally to Shane Long. If we got more out of him, who knows what could have happened with a him and Jelavic partnership. Yaka in goal. Just wow, what a beast. And I think that's all I need to say.
We are back next Wednesday on the radio. It will be a pre-record next Wednesday, but it'll still be worth listening to because we have got a game next Wednesday night, but we'll do that. If you can tune in, then tune into Humber Wave. And on the radio, we will see you next week. Have a great week, and we'll see you back next week. This is us saying goodbye.
Yeah,
Bye.
see you later, everyone.
Thank you,
There we
everyone.
go. That's the radio's gone. So I'll just do that. And do that, and do that, and that's just gone off the radio. So we're still live on the pod here, and it's been great to have all your input on the podcast and on the radio. Brilliant to have you on. Some good 11s, weren't they?
Oh yeah,
Yeah. I think
So
they're
much
hard to pick.
nostalgia.
I think it's a really hard job. Yeah, there's so many good players. You have to leave so many good players
And
out.
I think that was the.
That's the hard part.
That's
the
my little
hard
extra
part.
sad list there that I've just sent in the chat. Now I just got extras written down as well.
Yeah, I mean, Robbie Brady, Tom
Brady,
Kearney.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they. You know, the sad list is really, really, really good. And you could there was so many you could have picked, and it was really a hard job to pick 11. And I don't think any of us on the podcast here, the radio, or anything like that, think that we've got the right 11. We just picked 11 because it's so hard to pick 11. And I think everybody who's put in 11 players to us tonight have got done well, to be quite honest with you, because it was hard to pick it, just 11 players. And well done for you guys for coming up with it, Joe, because it's been a really good thing. And it's allowed us to talk tonight. We haven't had any time to talk about a game that we've got on Sunday, which is a difficult one. So we do a quick 5 minutes on it.
We even had the game that we played on Friday, the quick friendly as well. I mean, we
did,
saw
yeah.
a lot of faces.
We did see a lot of faces in that friendly.
Yeah, Puerta came out, and I heard he had a great game.
Puerta looks good, Hughes looks good, and Cynic's not dead.
And all I'm gonna, Cynic's not dead. Yeah, what? Where did that come from? I couldn't believe when I saw him come on. I actually went at first. I think we were in the Discord chat, and I was like, "Who's that? Who's just come on?" Like I didn't even recognize him.
Number 11. Have we still got one of them? Oh my God, it's Cynic. He's played 6 minutes and not keeled over.
It was brilliant.
I was wondering who it was for a bit, to be quite honest with you. Who is he? Who is that one? Oh, right, yeah, of course it is.
I mean, it did a lot of obviously subs at the very end of the second half, but I will say the people like Puerta, I mean, that central midfield in the first half with Alzate and Puerta, that looked really. I'm not saying it was a massive quality team that we're playing against, but it looked really nice with them two in the middle. It was enjoyable to watch, but I did feel one person who let himself down massively, and I mean he really let himself down, was Jarvis. I thought it was one of the worst games I've ever seen a footballer play.
Do you know, I feel sorry for Will Jarvis. I think he was doing really, really well. And I think we dragged him back because of the situation that we was in.
Yeah.
And I don't think he actually wanted to come back. I think he was
No, he
enjoying his time where he was. And he's now in a bad situation because of what we've done. I don't think it's down to him. I don't think he was particularly ready to come back to a championship club that are, that at the time had no players and was struggling a little bit. And you sort of relied on him a little bit to do a job for you. And I think that he's been unfairly treated for me, is what I would say. Now,
I understand that.
I think, to me personally, you probably see him going back out on loan in January. Probably, if they'd have had a bit more time, they'd have probably sent him back out again. But I think that, to me, that's the problem, is that he's been badly done to. That's what I'd say.
He has. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that. He got dragged back in to do his job, and it wasn't fair on the lad. I agree. But what I saw in that game wasn't a case of it that he's been had done to or anything along those lines. I saw someone who didn't actually care at all. The way he was playing, the pace of him.
I think you've got to say that, though. I get what you're saying, Christian, and yeah, it didn't do himself any favors. But we always sit here, don't we? We're sat here on this podcast. We sit here every week, and we're on here. We don't see what's going on in training behind closed doors, and we don't know what's gone on with Jarvis. And I think, I'll stick up for him a little bit here. I think that, he's been dealt a bad set of cards at the moment, and I think that's the problem.
Do you think it's more of a mental game than anything?
Yeah, I do. I do think it's more mental than anything. I think because we've expected him to come in and hit the ground running. I think he's a good. There's a player in there. There's no doubt there's a player in there.
Yeah,
and I think
that,
one of the best.
Could be a bit of the Ryan Giles thing, couldn't it? Ryan Giles has looked disinterested, hasn't he?
But I liked Ryan Giles' interview with Mike White. We'll mention our colleague from BBC. Mike did a good interview with Ryan Giles. It was interesting to hear him, and it was good to see him come on the second half in that game against Norwich where we got slaughtered, because I thought he came on and he steadied the ship a little bit.
He did
coming on there, and it looked better. So I think there could be a little bit of the Ryan Giles, Will Jarvis
syndrome.
There's a little bit of that in there, I think, and I don't think he's a young lad, and for me, we can't have too much of a go at him. That's just me. I'm sticking up for him a little bit.
Javo is one of the best
me
players.
Later, Javo.
Javo is one of the best players I've ever seen at under 21s level, but I agree with Eddie. He's been treated terribly in terms of we dragged him back from loan. He played 2-3 games off the bench, started the Carabao Cup. He was doing well out on loan, playing in, European competition out on loan, when realistically, we could have just put Sincere Hall in those games when he'd been with the team all pre-season.
Yeah.
And
you're right on that one.
It's, I expect Javo to go back out on loan in January. And that's a bit of a shame, in a sense, because he was brought back. And Adjan said in his Q&A, didn't he, Eddie? He said he pulls out the Jarvis. He's going to be an important player for us.
Yeah.
What, for 3 weeks until we sign some wingers?
I mean, this is. I've been talking. I talk regularly with my pupils, obviously, because that's my job. But I talk regularly with pupils, and I say that the problem that we've got now, and Christian's touched on it. All the players that we played in that game, in that friendly last week, we have far too many players. You cannot keep all of those players happy. Will Jarvis is probably one of those players that you're not going to keep happy because, as Joe said, he said that he's going to come in, he's going to do a good job for us this season, and then he signs another however many wingers he's signed. I've lost count, so I ain't even going to try and say that we've got.
Miller, Kamara, Balumi, and then Sinek coming back from injury for 10 days until he's injured again. Longman coming back from injury. Yeah. Plus, Abdush can play out wide as well.
We've got a lot of wingers. And this is the thing: is we have too many players to keep everybody happy. And I've said that I look back when we was in dire straits when we didn't have many players. But I said the good thing about that was we was bringing some of the youth players through, was giving some of the youth players a chance, and the youth players got more of a chance because we didn't have many players that was buying and bringing in. And I think when you look at the difference between a Jun's ownership and the Alam's ownership, there's not a lot in certain ways, because when you look at, we've turned over a squad of players for numerous seasons where we've just turned them over. The reason for the Alams was because we weren't signing anybody, we weren't paying for anybody, and they wouldn't pay. So if somebody's contract's coming to an end and they want a bit more money, they wouldn't pay them more money. The problem with the Jun is that he wants success and he's trying to buy success. And when you look at the two situations, if we could just get somewhere in the middle, would probably be a really good club.
Well, Ehab's philosophy, because this sort of has an impact. We sign all these players and it has an impact on the 21s and the 18s. At the start of the season, Lucas Dawson and Ed Devine were playing really, really regular minutes for the 21s. But then players like Tyrell Sellers-Fleming and Harry Vaughan, Nathan Tinsdale, etc., get pushed back down because we've got because we've made signings for the first team. That pushes them back in the 18s, and we just sort of get a little bit clogged up, and it's harder for young players to break through. And I'm sure she won't mind me saying this, someone who I always speak to at academy games when I'm there. She worked as head of safeguarding for Hull City for years, worked really closely with Ehab Alam. And Ehab's philosophy, which I respect, is he'd rather be in the Championship with local boys than in the Premier League with a bunch of players he's brought in from elsewhere. And I like that because I want to see young players get through. But I also see Adjun's side of it, where you can't always get the success he wants relying solely on players fresh out of your under-18s and who should really have a year of 21s football under their belt.
You need a mix, and that's the thing, is that we've not had the mix really. It's always been one extra. Well, it's been from the last few years of ownership. It's been one extreme to the other, and you saw that with the first year that a John's here, where he has. I think it was it 10 or 12? I went to the press conference. I can't remember how many players were sat there, but there was 10 or 12 of them in a row, in a line on that press conference.
So what? It would have been like Cynic, Aliyah, Oscar, Tete, Figueiredo, Baxter, all that lot. There were loads of them, weren't there? That
was your lineup, and so you saw that when you saw that them first come in, and we've gone off a little bit on a tangent, but I just wanted to sort of say
what we do.
I wanted to say that we have got too many players at the moment, and that game out in Turkey last week shows that we have too many players, because I think we had a different squad in the first half, different squad in the second half, and we could still bring on some subs. Am I right in thinking that?
Oh yeah, it was pretty much another team halfway through the second half. So it was.
When you look at it logically, you mentioned Puerta and Alzate. They've hardly been. Well, Puerta hasn't played, I don't think, has he? But Alzate's been on for a couple of cameo performances, hasn't he? And you've still got all the other players who are there as well. This is one of the problems we're going to have all season, unless he tears it down at some stage. We're going to struggle because he hasn't got his team. I don't think he's got in his head what is his strongest team, who are his best players.
He's no idea.
And I think that's going to be the trouble. No, I don't think he has, and that's the trouble. Puerta, all I've heard is good reports about him, but we've not seen him. Alzate has, say, a couple of 20-minute performances. You've got to, sometime, I think by Christmas he will have to get the starting 11 that everybody thinks that's our starting 11. If he doesn't, we're just going to go further and further behind, I think.
I said this morning, when you look at it really, on paper, we have 20 new players this season, because we've got the 17, but then you've brought back Xavier Simons, you've brought back Will Jarvis, you've brought back Ryan Longman. We've got 20 new players. Them players was out on loan last season, so there's 20 new players.
Cynic, yeah.
Don't
like having a new player.
Don't be cynical tonight, Joe, please.
Well, you say that, like, you talk about the size of the squad. Longman didn't get a game against Alanyaspor because he's still sort of coming back from his injury. That's another player who's still got to come and play. but yeah, it's mental. And like I just want to say quickly in terms of like the quality of Alanyaspor, to put it into perspective for me, and it's an opinion that someone who I was speaking to at the club shares. The Turkish Super League is a bit like the Scottish Premiership. Outside of the big two in Scotland, Celtic Rangers, the big three in Turkey, Gala, Fener, Besiktas, it's just sort of a bit Scottish Championship-y.
Yeah.
And in pre-season, it was, Kashin Pasha, they finished fifth. They were in the Europa League, but they're still dreadful.
The thing with it is that, we could have had a lot more goals in that game. We had a lot more chances to score goals, and putting the ball in the back of the net is, obviously I know we've scored some goals, so somebody's probably going to come on and say we've scored 10 goals in 3 games. I don't know we scored 10 goals in 3 games, but it's still, for me, could be an issue. Could our goal scoring ability, because when we get some really good positions. We saw Liam Miller put a really good ball in for Canada last night, and they score a goal off it. Liam Miller's put some good balls in for us. There's never anybody there to put the ball in, and that frustrates the hell out of me when you put in such good crosses in. All you want is somebody there to get on the end of it and put the ball in the back of the net. So, what team will he play on Sunday? I'm going to say I have no idea.
No,
I really don't.
No.
I don't. I know what I play, but I don't know what he'll play.
And it's going to be an interesting game on Sunday. We've got 2 really hard games coming up against Sunderland and against Burnley. And, I know they don't define our season, but, the position that we're in at the moment, because we won the 3 games on the trot, and obviously we've had that bad loss just before the international break. We really don't want to be slipping down too much from that position, but I'll probably do the same as I said against before the Norwich game. I'd take a draw in both of the games.
Oh,
yeah. You don't want to lose 2 more games, do you? You don't want to make it 3 on the trot that you've lost, because it makes the next game, I think, even more, they wanted to having to win it.
And that's a hard game as well, the next game, because that's Derby County away. Yeah. It's not going to be an easy game, is it?
No.
Well, there is any easy games, but you don't want to go in on a run of 3 defeats, do you?
No.
And especially after it was a 4-0. I mean, Sunderland seems to score a few goals, can do them. Burnley can do, can't they? So, we give lots of chances, don't we? So it
I think
really
that's my
is 2
concern.
big games. I think we need to get something out of them. Even if it's a 1-1 or something like that, I don't think we can go on the back of 3 defeats then go to Derby. Everybody would think it's only Derby; they've only just come up, but it'll be a tough game, and we don't want to be going there after 3 defeats, because then all of a sudden you're not far off the relegation lot, are you, really?
No.
So I think he needs to sort it out. He needs to get his best 11 together, or at least 11 players he thinks is his best 11, and like we have tonight a little bit, and get them out on the pitch. Maybe one of them 11s would do it. I don't know, but I think that's what we need.
He nearly has as many players to choose from as we had to get our 11 out on the pitch tonight. So
yeah,
he's maybe got as hard a job as what we've had picking our top 11. But it's been a really good night. I've enjoyed it. What a great theme we had tonight, and thanks very much for tuning in and listening. We've bored you for an hour and a quarter. We don't want to bore you for any longer. We all want to go to bed. In fact, we've had enough. We're tired. We're picking that 11, I can tell you. So it's been really good to have you tuned in again. We'll be back next week. It'll be a pre-record, as we say, because we're playing football. We've got a football game on the night, and I'll be going there to watch the football game and hopefully see Hull City win. So looking forward to that. Thanks very much for tuning in. It's been great to have you. Please come back next week.
Cheers for listening, guys. Goodbye.
Bye.